Yeah, that makes sense. I have to get this kicked off. If I can ask everybody to grab a seat, we're going to get started again. Got a keynote who's waiting. So we are in the back part now of our program. We'll be having a speech from the director of FinCEN and then a panel diving into their numbers. And then we'll be having a spotlight session from Women in Identity on their code of conduct. And then we'll be closing the day with a final keynote from Eric Goldstein from CISA. So it is my great pleasure now to welcome Andrea Gacki here. Andrea is the Director of Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN. She started in this role last summer after previously serving as the Director of OFAC, Office of Foreign Assets Control at Treasury. She's played a leading role in the government's implementation and enforcement of economic sanctions during critical national challenges facing the U.S. She's been in a number of other senior roles at Treasury, as well as in the Justice Department beforehand. Deep experience in the whole business of how to actually keep our financial system safe from bad actors who might want to do things with it that we don't want them to do. Most importantly, in my book at least, she earned both her undergraduate and law degrees from the school with the country's national championship football team, the University of Michigan. So from one Wolverine to another, go blue, and welcome to our event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and hi everyone. My name is Andrea Gacki. I'm the Director of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. And thanks for taking a moment to hear from me today. Very excited to be part of this event. It's been an exciting start of the year for FinCEN, and we're only in the first month. I'd like to talk about two of our recent achievements that are relevant to this group. First, our implementation of beneficial ownership reporting requirements, and second, the ongoing work related to FinCEN's identity project. Before I do that, I want to step back and say a quick few words on what has led us here. As we all know, understanding who is truly behind illicit transactions has been at the core of FinCEN's work since its inception. And we've needed to monitor and stay ahead of related vulnerabilities to improve our overall anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism regime. Around the world, lack of transparency around identity makes it easier to conceal illicit activity. Two of the main drivers behind this lack of transparency are opaque corporate structures, that is, like lack of accurate and easily obtainable beneficial ownership information, and challenges relating to attributing ownership and activity to real-life people in a digital world. Criminals utilize front companies and shell companies and exploit gaps or breakdowns in identity processes at account opening, account access, and when transacting to conceal their identity and attempt to launder their ill-gotten gains. These criminal efforts further a variety of illicit schemes and unlawful activities such as corruption, tax evasion, fraud, drug trafficking, and the financing of terrorism. Lack of transparency around identity is a global problem. It's one that necessitates strong responses across jurisdictions and the public sector working with the private sector to solve these challenges. As the largest economy in the world and home to so many companies, including shell companies, the United States must do its part, both to protect the integrity of our own financial system and to advance global efforts against illicit finance and money laundering. So on the topic of beneficial ownership, we achieved a critical milestone in our efforts in January with the launch of FinCEN's Beneficial Ownership Registry pursuant to the Corporate Transparency Act. Many companies must now report to FinCEN the identities of who ultimately owns and controls them, making it harder for bad actors to hide or benefit from their ill-gotten gains through shell companies or other opaque ownership structures. With this step, we're closing a loophole and sending a clear message that the United States is not a haven for dirty money. I'm excited to report that in under 4 weeks, we received nearly 300,000 reports. I should note that beneficial ownership information reported to FinCEN is stored in a secure, non-public database using rigorous information security methods and controls typically used in the federal government to protect non-classified yet sensitive information systems at the highest security level. Throughout this year, FinCEN will work closely with relevant authorities and financial institutions to provide access to this information and ensure that people who access this information understand their roles and responsibilities in using the reported information only for authorized purposes and in handling the reported information in a way that protects its security and its confidentiality. The benefits of increased corporate transparency through gathering beneficial ownership information, knowing who owns what, will be greatly enhance the protection of our national security. A separate work stream that I want to highlight, and which my colleagues will share more later in a bit, is the publication of the Identity Financial Trend Analysis earlier this month. FinCEN's financial trend analysis analyzes 2021 Bank Secrecy Act data to quantify and feed back to industry how bad actors are exploiting identity-related processes during account openings, access, and transactions to perpetuate crimes. This report reveals the existence of significant identity-related exploitations through a large variety of schemes. Additionally, the report, part of which we have publicly referred to in the past as the Identity Project, highlights the value of Bank Secrecy Act information filed by regulated financial institutions and other members of the public. Providing financial institutions with financial intelligence about identity processes, exploitations, can help them mitigate gaps or breakdowns, provide them with a greater degree of certainty that their customers are who they say they are, which is also important for national security. Robust customer identity processes are the foundation of a secure and trusted U.S. financial system and are fundamental to the effectiveness of every financial institution's AML-CFT program. This report recognizes that innovations in digital identity can strengthen AML-CFT compliance and help banks and other financial institutions more effectively and efficiently identify and report illicit financial activity. We've also taken note of the acting comptroller of the currency's public comments about disaggregation and the increasing complexity and number of parties involved in the provision of financial services. We're seeing how this trend appears in our Bank Secrecy Act reports. In instances, for example, when a financial institution discovers prior to funding a mortgage that verification of the customer's identity had never occurred. The volume and frequency of these types of exploitations or cyber-enabled attacks are likely to rise as technological developments like generative artificial intelligence reduce the cost, complexity, and time required to leverage gaps in our digital infrastructure that already make it difficult to distinguish humans from bots and to spot fake documents. This is why announcing the financial trend analysis on identity, when I announced this, I encourage financial institutions to work across their internal departments to address these identity-related schemes. So as we see it, better information around customer identity, including beneficial ownership, will support our law enforcement colleagues in investigating suspicious activity, making arrests, successfully prosecuting offenders, and seizing ill-gotten assets. It will also inform strategic, targeted-based actions such as sanctions. Transparency around individuals and corporations can bring economic benefits as well by protecting our financial system, reducing due diligence costs, enabling fair business competition, and increasing tax revenue. We know success will depend on our partnerships with private industry and other stakeholders, and it's important to bring public and private sector minds together to collaborate on the future of identity. Financial institutions in particular remain crucial in the fight against financial crime and will continue to be key partners on work related to identity exploitation and beneficial ownership. And opportunities exist for emerging technologies such as digital identity solutions, AI, and privacy-enhancing technologies to help address identity-related exploitations and combat a wide variety of illicit finance typologies. Through these and all our other actions, working with you in the private sector, We are working together to make our country safer and more prosperous, and we're contributing to global security and global prosperity. It will take the intellectual power and creativity of all of us to keep pace with technological innovation and protect Americans' identities and prevent illicit actors from exploiting identity and financial crime. I look forward to continuing to see the continued impacts of the work that this will have. Thank you for the opportunity to share these insights. I hope you have a productive forum, and I want to transition next to the real experts at FinCEN to take this conversation further. Thank you so much.